Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all staying safe. I am really excited for this guide because we are going to be tackling the Conjunctivius fight today. And she is my favorite boss in the game because she has so much going on with her, and it's such a challenging fight, but it's also such a rewarding fight, as evidenced by the fact that on 4 and 5 BC, you get 5 scroll fragments at the very end, and it's also an access point to my favorite level in the game, which is Graveyard. So it's always a nice thing to be able to see Conjunctivius and deal with her and her tentacle shenanigans. So if you don't know how to access her, you can access her through either the Ancient Sewers or the Ramparts. Ancient Sewers can be accessed from the Corrupted Prison or the Toxic Sewers, or the Prison Depths if you're on 1 BC or higher. In terms of the Ramparts, you can access them from the Promenade, the Toxic Sewers, or the Dilapidated Arboretum, or you can go through the Corrupted Prison if you're on 1 BC or higher. So, in order to access her from the Ramparts, you need to have 3 BC or higher unlocked, and you need to be on that BC, but you know, if you want to do that, you can certainly do that. I personally like the Dilapidated into Prison Depths into the Ancient Sewers route. That is what's most fun for me. Get to see all of my favorite enemies in the game and get to see some of my favorite biomes, and I like the way they look. But anyways, I'm rambling a little bit. If you aren't subscribed yet, I like to do a lot of Dead Cells guides, 5 BC runs, commentaries, rankings, and amongst other things, I like to do a lot of Skull the Hero Slayer. I'm trying to integrate that more into my channel. And on occasion, I like to do some social commentaries that focus on mental health. So if any of that interests you, feel free to hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, and let's get started. So Conjunctivius always starts out her fights and her phases with a dash attack. And so you can either roll through it as you just saw, or you can parry through it as you were about to see. We'll tackle shieldless first, just rolling through it. So you can see Kanji, the red line appears, and then I just roll through it. You can also roll towards Conjunctivius. It doesn't really matter what you do with the roll. You are not going to get hit by it. You are immune. But check out what I'm doing in this fight, because as soon as I roll, I make sure to use some sort of skill, and then I just start attacking on her. I just start wailing on her, and that doesn't matter whether or not you use a shield. It's so important to do that because of the fact that she has a delay in between her attacks, especially the dash. You can see me parrying her right here, and then I just start hitting her with the Flawless. You're going to see me do the same exact thing with the Hemorrhage. As soon as she comes up, I'm right next to her, and I parry her, and then I just start firing off with the Hemorrhage. That's the other thing about this attack, is that you want to be able to be right next to her as you do this, because the farther you are away, just the harder it is to parry, because you may get your timings messed up. But if you're right next to her, the timing is just so much easier. Again, you can just see me wailing off on her. All about spacing when it comes to Conjunctivius. Now, her parry hitbox can be a little bit weird, so sometimes to be safe, you may want to jump and parry, because then you'll be able to be right on a plane level with her and be able to get a proper parry off instead of getting hit from above or from the side or something like that. So just be careful where you are in relation to Kanji. Conjunctivius likes to occasionally shoot bullets at you. In her first phase, she will shoot 2 sets of bullets, the first being a set of bullets aiming at where you might be, called anticipatory bullets, and the second being where you are upon her initially launching them. The second phase is 3 sets of bullets, with the first and third sets being these aforementioned anticipatory bullets, while the second set is where you are again. And the final phase is 4 sets of bullets, with the first and third again being these anticipatory bullets, and the second and fourth sets being where you are. It seems overwhelming at first, but there are in fact a few strategies on how to deal with this. So for example, you can see me just parrying 2 bullets right here, and this is a pattern because it's the sort of thing where, yeah, there's a lot of bullets on the screen, but you're really only worried about 2 sets of bullets because they're aimed at where you are. And so that's really important to keep in mind. You can also dance around the bullets by staying far away if you don't have a shield or if you're not comfortable parrying them. You can just kind of maneuver in and out of the gaps in between bullets, and it's really not that bad if you stay far away because you have a lot of space to move, and that's another strategy that you can use. Another one is if you're on a level plane with her like I am right here, you can jump over one set of bullet and then you can roll past the other, or you can do it in reverse. Again, in slow-mo, you can see Conjunctivius moving towards the left side. She's going to shoot the second set of bullets, jump over that, and then roll past the other, and then I'm going to finish off this fight by getting the kill. Conjunctivius likes to occasionally do an aura, and basically what happens is that she pulses twice. The first pulse is like a warning, and the second pulse is her actual attack. And so when she pulses, she does the warning. You want to make sure that you get out of there as soon as possible, then get right back to attacking her. Again, just staying aggressive constantly. You can roll as long as you're inside the aura, but just make sure that you've rolled when she's doing the actual attack. Otherwise, you are going to get hit. But just for good practice, it's important to make sure that as soon as she pulses, just run out of there. Roll, jump, do whatever you need to do in order to escape this attack. It's fairly powerful, especially if you end up completely inside the aura. So just make sure to run out of there. Now for Bullet Hell, and this is an attack that she will do in the second and third phase. But in 1.9, it was changed to be a very rare attack. See, the thing is, you have to have been fighting Kanji for a very long time in between phases to even proc that attack. And so you're rarely ever going to see it as long as you stay aggressive on her and keep making sure that you hit her with something. But if you really want to know how to deal with Bullet Hell, you can't. Because the bullets are very random, right? So the only strategy that's really possible is to stay on the corner of a wall and then either just keep parrying everything or just keep rolling against the wall, and that's really all you can do. You're probably going to get hit during Bullet Hell, so my best advice is just to never deal with it at all. And now for the final part of the actual strategy guide portion of this video, and we're going to talk about the tentacles, because I know a lot of people tend to struggle with them, and let's tackle shieldless first. And so if you're running brutality or tactics, what you really want to do is make sure that you have some sort of turret with you, either a double cross-matic or a flame turret or something like that. Overload your turrets on one side, that way they can attack the tentacles that are about to shoot up at you. Then what you want to do is focus on the moving tentacles. You can see me constantly doing that. Focus on the moving tentacles coming towards you. Either use your ranged weapons or use your melee attacks, roll behind them, do whatever you need to do, but let your skills do the work on the other tentacles. And what that'll allow you to do is basically get rid of their health little by little, and then as they start to come faster and faster and faster, which is what they do when each one dies, then you can get some quicker kills off and then fight Conjunctivius again. The other thing that you want to make sure that you're doing during this phase is to make sure that your skilled cooldowns are in order by the time the last tentacle dies. And the way to do that is just to let the last tentacle keep on trying to attack you and then just keep rolling, parrying, doing whatever you need to do. That way all your skill cooldowns are back by the time Kanji is there, and you can focus again on attacking her very efficiently. Shields are a little bit trickier because it depends if you want to parry the tentacle shooting from below or not. If you do want to do it, if you have the attack warnings on, the exclamation points, then it's more than possible to do it. Otherwise, just focus on the moving tentacle, which is pretty self-explanatory to parry. There are a couple strategies you can employ via a shield, such as a double parry or such as a parry series, both of which we are about to cover. They are both fairly complicated, so they will take practice. So double parrying is this concept in which you parry the moving tentacle and parry as it shoots back up. You can basically get the parry off by looking at the exclamation points on the screen. If you don't have them turned on, then I don't suggest doing this. But if you do have them turned on, then you can use them to your advantage, because the tentacles are otherwise hard to kind of predict when they're going to come up, because they can be a little bit weird sometimes. But basically, again, parry with the exclamation point, parry again. It's the same thing. And then you're going to see it again in slow motion. I'm going to basically bring all the stationary tentacles towards me, target that moving one, parry it, and then parry it again, and then hit it with my flawless, and then I'm able to kill that off from there, and then repeat the process again. The parry series really will depend on how comfortable you are parrying the tentacles from down below. It kind of works in the same way as the turrets. You're overloading all the tentacles on one side and then just doing damage to a bunch of them at the same time. It really works nicely with an AoE shield like Punishment, Thunder Shield, or Bloodthirsty Shield. Works very nicely in that regards. The idea is you just keep on parrying. Every time you see an exclamation point, just parry. It doesn't matter what they're doing. When the moving tentacle comes towards you, you parry that as well. You'll get a lot of damage off on these tentacles, and from there you'll be able to start attacking them using whatever weapon or whatever skill you have. And it becomes very useful when you're trying to initially get all of the HP of these tentacles low, similar to how we work with those turrets. So parrying series, pretty difficult, but more than possible once you are comfortable with parrying the tentacles that shoot from below. When we're talking about weapons, it's really going to depend on what sort of build that you're running. Like if you're using brutality, right? Faster weapons tend to succeed. So Stiletto, Hayabusa Gauntlets, Valmont Whip, Meat Skewer, these are all excellent weapons to use against Conjunctivius. If we're talking ranged, auto-tracking weapons are extremely good. So Electric Whip, Magic Missiles, Throwing Knives, stuff with a long range like multiple Nox Bow or Marksman's Bow, those work great as well. I would say stuff like the heavy crossbow and the explosive crossbow don't necessarily do as well, just because of the fact that they are slower, and then they will depend on where you are and having to get next to Conjunctivius, and because they're slow, you can miss Conjunctivius and end up getting hit. It's just a pain. Anything that will do damage from a wolf trap or a root grenade also works, so like a nutcracker or a repeater crossbow, those succeed pretty well against Conjunctivius. So it really is up to you as far as what weapons you want to run. Shields are great. All shields work in this fight, but AoE shields are great, meaning area of effect, so punishment or bloodthirsty, and they work great for bullets and tentacles. Cudgel works on the dash attack, and Rampart can help against tentacles, because if you parry like the moving tentacle or tentacle that shoots from below, you can probably take a couple hits for a few seconds. Force shield kind of works in the same sort of vein. So these are just some of the many weapons and shields that work against Conjunctivius, and obviously I didn't name everything. I'm not going to sit here and name every single weapon and how they're good against Conjunctivius, but there are certain ones that do better. For example, Stiletto probably will do better than the War Spear in this fight, but it's not like it's unviable to use certain weapons, right? The only two weapons I will make an exception for are Blowgun and Assassin's Dagger, and that's really because Conjunctivius does not have a backside, so if you happen to have those with you at the time, make sure that you can get damage off on her in other ways, such as a secondary weapon or a skill, or make sure you can get some sort of sustainable damage against Conjunctivius, otherwise you might end up kind of screwed. As far as what skills you might want to use against Conjunctivius, I did mention turrets, but what I really want to emphasize on is the fact that you generally want one skill to deal with the tentacles, one skill to deal with Conjunctivius herself, because turrets don't necessarily work against Conjunctivius because they can only really attack her from a level playing field. So you may want to take something like a Knife Dance, or you may want to take something like a Corrosive Cloud or Wings of the Crow, basically something that can either track her movements or will be able to do a very quick amount of damage and employ some sort of status on her, just something that can be effective versus her immediately. And with the tentacles, obviously turrets are an extremely good idea. You can also use stuff like Knife Dance and Corrosive Cloud, and really anything will work against the tentacles, because if you think about the tentacles in terms of how they operate in the ancient sewers, it's the exact same way. Some of them are faster, some of them are slower, but it really doesn't matter at the end of the day when it comes to the tentacles. But make sure that you at least take one skill to deal with Conjunctivius. Wolf Trap is an excellent skill that will work very nicely against Conjunctivius. The only thing you need to keep in mind is that she may be mid-attack animation upon entering the Wolf Trap, and so she may do things like the dash, she may do things like the aura, and she may not exactly show that she's going to be doing those attacks, and when she escapes the Wolf Trap, she will hit you in the face, and it's going to hurt very, very badly. The other thing that you may want to take is something like a grenade, like a fire grenade or a powerful grenade. Those work really nicely against Conjunctivius herself, as well as the tentacles. And lastly, different sorts of big damage skills, such as the Giant's Whistle or Death Orb or Crusher if you're running survival. They're just really good skills to have in general, but they also work really nicely in this fight, especially if you're able to get a tentacle on a Crusher, or you can use the Death Orb and then Conjunctivius will be stunned for a little bit, and maybe she'll stop attacking, she won't complete her attack animation, that can help you recover a little bit. So there's a lot of different skills that can be utilized against Conjunctivius. As far as mutations are concerned, you can take any of the cooldown mutations that you want. Even stuff like Hunter's Instinct and Killer's Instinct, you will be able to proc them when you kill tentacles, so you don't have to worry about those not working. As far as the other ones, Blind Faith, Instinct to the Master of Arms, and Heart of Ice, they all work great on Conjunctivius. You can parry her, you can use critical hits, you can put her in a Wolf Trap or Root Grenade or Stun Grenade or something, and then just keep hitting her, and then you should be fine. Other sorts of mutations that you may want to consider is if you're in Brutality, Open Wounds is fantastic. Combo is great because you can kill tentacles and kill the second and third and fourth and fifth tentacles even faster. And then Conjunctivius, you'll be able to do more damage for a certain amount of seconds. Berserker also kind of works in that same sort of realm, except it's more defensive. You can also take Tranquility if you're in Tactics and you have something like a Marksman's Bow or a Multiple Knocks Bow. What Doesn't Kill Me, if you're low on health and you are comfortable parrying those tentacles, you can get a little bit of HP back, and then you should be good to go from there. So mutations, it's not too strict of a requirement. You have a fair amount of creativity as far as that's concerned, but those are just some stuff that I like to run. So I just wanted to provide a few more tips before we looked into some battles, and one of the tips I really like to emphasize is preparing for this kanji fight ahead of time. So you can do this either in the optional areas, that's prison depths or corrupted prison, or in the ancient sewers and ramparts. And just like you wouldn't take a flame turret to tick, something like an emergency door wouldn't serve a purpose. So if you have an emergency door on you, for example, then you can use that opportunity to visit one of the shops or one of the chests or something like that in any of these levels and take something that will work against Conjunctivius or the tentacles. I highly recommend going to ancient sewers before fighting Conjunctivius, and the reason that this is twofold. One is that you get higher level gear in ancient sewers as opposed to ramparts, which is the only other place you can access Conjunctivius. The other reason is if you're on 3 to 5 BC, there are more scroll fragments in ancient sewers, which means you'll have a higher scroll count by the time you get to fight her. Whether or not you go to Graveyard or Sanctuary after the fight is a personal preference. If your build is slower but hits harder, Sanctuary is a better option because there's less mobs there. If it's quicker or hits more enemies at once, Graveyard is the much better option because there's a lot of rats, inquisitors, cannibals, enemies like that. So it's really up to you at the end of the day, but this is what has worked for me in the past. The last is do not panic between attacks. Kanji will do what she does, just make sure to stay aggressive and plan accordingly. Since she telegraphs her attacks, you can use that time in between attacks to be able to get a bunch of hits off. And you can hit until she has her little telegraph moments, such as with the aura, she likes to pulse ones, things like that. So just make sure that you get as many hits off as possible. Stay aggressive on her, stay on your toes, be aggressive, be aware of your surroundings, make sure that you're properly spaced from her. All of these things will take practice, yes, but the more and more you do this fight, the more and more you realize that it's not the worst fight in the world. There's worse bosses out there than Conjunctivius. She just happens to move around a lot, which can cause confusion. Her entire game plan is to confuse and overwhelm you. So as long as you stay calm and just remember what you're going in there to do, you should be fine at the end of the day. To close out this video, we will be examining 3 Conjunctivius fights in Brutality, Survival, and in Tactics. Right away you can see me just making sure I dodge that attack, put the aura up, and I make sure to keep on attacking her. Because you never know what she's going to do. She could be flying away, and this battle, as it gets drawn out, you're going to get hit more and more. So it's just best to just keep on your toes, stay aggressive. And now we get the tentacle phase. So you can see right away, drop the turret on one side, let the tentacles die, and a lot of them are now at lower health. And now I kill another one because of that flame turret and aura from earlier. And now you can see me only having to deal with 2 tentacles. It's much easier to deal with a bunch of tentacles at once. And this last one, I'm just going to kill this one off. Conjunctivius is going to reappear, fire off the carbine, wait for her to dash, roll, and then just start going to town on her. I will always go to where she is, even if she's going to move, because you never know what she's going to do. So anyways, same exact strategy as always. Make sure I have the turret on one side as I roll past the one that's moving, and let them come towards me. Put the aura up just for some residual damage. Now again, I only have 2 left, and notice that the tentacles are moving a little bit faster now because of the fact that, you know, their brothers have died and they want to avenge their brothers. That's why they're being a lot more aggressive and fast on me. So just got to be careful of that. But anyways, so Conjunctivius is going to reappear. I mess up when throwing my flame turret, but it's all good. I just keep on firing my attacks off, and the aura's a big help right here. Aura's fantastic against Conjunctivius, and then she ends up dying due to the dot statuses, and I'm able to get a no-hit from there. Now we've got a melee tactics build. This was actually a really fantastic run. You can check it out on my King DKC Chaos and Chill Cellscast, but same exact thing as the last run. I used the kunai and get some bleed off. Status Stiletto is able to get a lot of crits off, and then I have the support mutation just to buff up the power of pretty much everything, because I'll be right next to my turret the entire time. So now everything's going to be coming towards me. Again, just make the moving tentacle my priority, and I'm just going to keep avoiding things, throw my kunai at these tentacles, slowly dwindle each of their health down. It's really cool to have piercing ranged attacks during this fight. It can really help with the tentacle phases. Kanji pops back up, gonna wait for her to dash me once again, and then go right back to attacking her. Use the knife dance, get a bunch of bleed stacks on her, roll away from the aura. I see the pulsing aura, I make sure that I don't get hit by it because I have a no-hit intact. I want to keep it that way. Tentacle's gonna move towards me, but one's gonna die even before I have a chance to attack. And now we're in a bit of trouble because a lot of these tentacles have a fair amount of health. So we just got to plan accordingly, treat it like the first phase, overload the turrets, overload the tentacles, and we should be good to go from there. Now we only have 2 left. That dies immediately. 1 left, and I'm gonna actually wait for my knife dance to cool back down. I could have killed him, but I didn't because I wanted my knife dance to be there. So Conjunctivius is gonna dash, use the knife dance, and all I gotta do is just wait until I get a good opportunity to hit her. I jump and roll on the bullets, and then I'm able to get the kill. Another perfect fight. So that ended up being a really, really good Conjunctivius fight, one of my better ones actually. And in survival, we've got a shield with the hemorrhage. Hemorrhage has this ability to stun Conjunctivius. Anytime you get a chance to stun Conjunctivius, make sure to do that because you'll be able to make sure that she's never able to do anything against you. I'm gonna wait for her to do something, and then I'm gonna go right back to attacking her because I knew I was out of hemorrhages, so I had to kind of wait for a little bit. So now what's gonna happen is that this tentacle is gonna get stunned from the hemorrhage, so I'm a little worried, but I'm able to figure this one out. And then I realized that my shield actually has poison damage on it, so I can just parry the moving tentacles, wait for it to pop up, throw the hemorrhage on it, and I should be able to get some damage, which you can see right here. And I'm able to get a significant damage off. Hemorrhage does a lot of damage on the crit condition. Same exact situation here. I'm just gonna throw it. Wait, I now wait a little bit just to wait for my cooldowns to come back, and just to make sure that I don't take any unnecessary damage. And so I use the Giant's Whistle on her. I'm using all these different skills on her. I'm making sure that she never has a chance to attack me. Now what I do here is I try to parry the tentacle before him, but again, I forget about hemorrhage stunning enemies. It has a really good breach, which works in a lot of situations. Sometimes it can hurt you, but we're able to get it down to 2 tentacles, and now all I need to do is parry, roll, throw my hemorrhage, and that should be dead on the next one. And all I need to do is take care of this last one, and we are set from there. Now all I got to do is just finish off the Conjunctivius fight. I have Blind Faith, so I didn't necessarily need to wait for my skill cooldowns to come back up because I wasn't that worried. Blind Faith would have taken care of me. I'm able to dance in between the gaps on the bullets, fire off the hemorrhage a couple more times, use the Giant's Whistle, and that's another no-hit. That is going to wrap it up for me today. If there's something that you feel that I missed that's important to share, absolutely feel free to leave a comment. If you have any further questions, you can leave a comment on there as well. If I don't get to it, I'm sure someone in the community will. It's a really fun fight for me, honestly. And it's funny is that I avoided her a lot until 1.8 started. And I don't know why. I think I always just had it in my head that she was impossible to no-hit. But lately, I've been enjoying her fight because I find Concierge to be a little boring, and Mama Tick, you can only access her from one biome. So, Conjunctivius, I like to see her every now and then. It's a very fun fight for me. So, anyways, I really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to watch my content. I'm always grateful for the support. Leave a like and subscribe for more Dead Cells guides, runs, and commentaries. I'll see you all later. I love you all, and I'm out.